episode 82, part 2 of Africa's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters podcast. Also remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas as they're still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. I'm Jemima Duffield.
And I'm Nara Kamuya.
So Kenyan rugby history. St.Peters Mumias. I remember them.
Yes.
Not so well, but I remember them.
Yeah.
So they're in Kakamega County.
Yes.
They are former Sevens champions for nationals.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And then you can pick it up.
Yes, I mean, aptly put it, boys high school based in Mumias, Kakamega County, established in 1958 by a Catholic mission from Holland. And as you said, St. Peters Mumias are normally famous for sevens. They're normally famous for the shorter version of the game as opposed to the longer version. 2017 champions, as you've put it. They won the 2017 Sevens Championship. And I think the last thing to say about St. Peters Mumias is that the most notable alumni is former Sevens captain Humphrey Kayange. Yes.
Now, I think I've seen very many boys' schools.
Yes.
We should start doing girls' schools. They exist, yeah?
No problem, no problem. Once we are done, then we'll move on.
Yes, of course. Systems.
Yes.
Systems. So now, since you said, they're the... they're better at the shorter version of the game.
Yes.
And then you mentioned Humphrey Kayange.
Yeah.
Now we are on to Shujaa.
Yes.
So, yes, Kenya's Sevens team.
Yeah.
And we're doing a post-mortem basically on Shujaa's performance at the Sevens Rugby World Cup. So, for everyone that missed out on that and still don't know the results,
yes.
Kenya played against Tonga in their pre-round of 16, won that game 19-7. Then they played against Scotland in the round of 16, and they lost that game 31-26. Then played against Ireland in the Challenge quarterfinal, lost that game 14-24. Went on to play 13th to 16th against Samoa, lost that game 19-17, and then went to play 15th, 16th against Japan and lost that 26-14. So not the best run for Kenya.
Yes.
Seen them do better.
Yeah.
Did a lot better in the Sevens circuit.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people are disappointed and were wondering, what's going on and all of that. But the boys are still encouraged. They're like, look, fine. Things didn't go too well there, but still, we've got to move on. There's a lot more to look forward to.
Yes.
So, the union has stated that we should expect changes in the Sevens setup after their dismal performance in San Francisco. And Richard Omwela was quoted to have said, heads will roll.
Yes.
Which I found very funny.
Yes.
But so Namco's... Innocent Simiyu, the coach, chances of him being retained... very slim.
Yes.
Players are at the end of their contracts, and basically Richard Omwela is saying that, look, guys are at the end of their contracts, and we need to review this player by player. We can't keep going on like this. This was a terrible performance, and I'm like, okay, fine. They didn't do too well. We understand, but what did you do wrong for them to not do well? You can't sit there on your moral high ground, which I don't understand how he's on that moral high ground, but anyway, because I take him as a representative of the union.
Yes.
So the union know where they messed up.
Yes.
And you can't sit there and say, you did this and you did this and you did this. When you've got one finger pointing at everyone else, you've got, three pointing back at you.
True.
So what do you think of all of that, basically?
Everyone has a part to play in Kenya's performance in San Francisco. I was talking to someone who was there, and they were telling me that the Kenyan contingent was really disappointed by the way the Kenyan guys played. And to some extent, very many Kenyans who are there feel that our players actually threw away the game as opposed to them losing. But as you said, and as you've very well put it, everyone has a part to play. When we sit down and start making noise, the reason why Kenya Sevens performed the way they did, in my opinion, is because of the lack of preparation. It's because of the fiasco that was happening in Kenya Rugby before the Sevens World Cup. It's because of we saw with the Brand Kenya issue and the lack of funds and whatever it is. That's the genesis of this problem. And yes, I do understand, because then you have, when you talk to the old guard, they come from the point, and very many people say this, the old guard that is, that Kenya is not doing the players a favor. Sorry, the players are not doing Kenya a favor. It's actually the other way around. For you to put on that jersey is a lot. And therefore, whenever you put on that jersey, you should perform. And some part of me can understand where they're coming from. But let's be honest. Let's look at the genesis of this problem. Let's look at in 2013, in 2009, when they performed the way they did, when they got to the semi-finals of both World Cups, they had a very good lead-up to the tournament. They had very good preparation.
Yeah.
The unions were supporting them. And I go on to say, Richard Omwela was leading the union in 2009. Of course, in 2013, it was Mongi there. But yes, these guys had everything they needed for them to perform the way they did. That was not the case this time.
Yep.
And yes, when you may sit down and say that, oh, it's because of indiscipline. You might sit down and say it's because of Innocent Simiyu. You might sit down and say Namcos did what? They taped to Brand Kenya. You'll use all the stories you want to use. But the truth and the fact of the matter is that the Sevens team did not perform the way they should have performed because of all the shenanigans, because of all the fiasco, because of everything. The circus that was before the Rugby Sevens World Cup. Were they wrong? Were the players wrong in doing whatever they did before the World Cup? It depends. It's up for debate. Depends on where you're coming from. My own opinion is that while I feel from a procedural standpoint, yes, it might have been wrong. It needed to happen. It needed to happen.
To wake people up, open people's eyes, to what's going on. Exactly.
It needed to happen, and I think our union has been taking us for granted and the players for granted, and they've been, just doing absolutely nothing. And it needed to happen, and it's happened. And heads roll, whether heads roll or heads don't roll, that's fine. That's their decision. But the truth and the fact of the matter is, until they address their issues, until they address the mismanagement of funds, until they address the corruption, until they address the embezzlement of funds, we will never move anywhere. Rugby will not move anywhere in this country, and no corporate sponsor will want to associate with rugby in Kenya.
That is very true. I mean, I remember, what comes to my mind is the fact that time and time again, we always get to a point where players are either on the verge of striking or have actually decided they won't train or that they won't play until things start happening. And unfortunately, I mean, it's becoming a pattern where we keep seeing it, and we're like, look, it's clear that, we get to this point and then players decide they're not going to play. And I mean, player mentality is very, basically mentally, if you're not there, it doesn't matter how much you've prepared, it doesn't matter how many times you've done it, there's just something that doesn't click on the pitch. So that is something we need to address. I think it's very important.
You know the funny thing, and I've talked to players or across sevens, across 15s, I've talked to very many players, and they always tell you something. I mean, even during the Mongibo days, there were problems. Yes, there were issues, and we do know what the issues were. But there's something the players told me. Whenever they were told the salaries would be paid, they would be paid. And it was very good. They felt, and the players, and this I'm speaking from what the players have told me, they always felt valued when the chairman of the Kenya Rugby Union comes to actually pass the message himself. When the chairman of the Kenya Rugby Union actually comes to hand over the t-shirts or the jerseys himself. When he gives them that attention. When he tells them, when he would come tell them, look, okay, we don't have money, but it's going to come. They would get disappointed at the fact that there's no money, but they knew it was coming because the chairman is almost come to give them the word. You don't get that nowadays. And that's what the problem is. And I just feel that the people who are there are just there for their own reasons. It's just, what is it called? Self-actualization. Just satisfaction, just to satisfy their egos. Very many guys who are there, I don't think, want to better the game in this country. Well, anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll see who's appointed. We'll see who is not going to play for us anymore. But we've said what we think. I'd like to know what everyone thinks. But we move on to our next topic. Ian Stewart Minjire, better known as Minji, is heading to Germany to play professional rugby. Good on him. So what's the deal? What's the deal? He's moving to a club called SC 1880 Frankfurt. I think this is a move that he's been working on for a very long time. I know for a fact that at the beginning of the 2016-2017 season, he was actually supposed to go to Germany, and it didn't work out then. So it's been cleared now. He should be leaving on Saturday, and the deal basically has him going there. It's professional, of course. He'll also be coaching their younger teams, so it does help him in terms of gaining knowledge from a rugby standpoint. And I think one thing that was very good with the deal is that it allows him, or SC 1880 Frankfurt will ensure that he completes his masters. Of course, Ian Minjire is an engineer, and I think his masters will be in urban planning, urban planning. And we're better than Germany, where everything is efficient. So I think it's a double win for him in terms of playing rugby and furthering his career. So that's basically the deal.
Well, I mean, best of luck to him.
Yes.
And I mean, this just shows you that you can play a sport, especially rugby.
Yes.
And still go to school, still pursue whatever else you want to pursue.
That's
I mean, rugby players were known for being smart.
Yes.
It's a very technical game. So seeing him doing this.
Yes.
Just wish him all the best.
We just wish him all the best, and it goes on to add, I think, what has been synonymous with rugby all over the world. I remember after the Rugby World Cup final in 2015, New Zealand fullback Ben Smith was being interviewed, and he was like, "Okay, well, that's done. Now I need to go back to my accounting business."
Yep.
So it's world over. It's known that rugby players double up in other professions. So it's good. It's good to see in Nigeria getting such a deal, and we can only wish him the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we move on to international rugby, where the semi-final for us was, Super Rugby.
Yes.
Of course, people are still excited.
Yeah.
So Super Rugby, we had a semi-final feature game for us, Crusaders versus Hurricanes, 30-12 in favor of the Crusaders.
Yep. Yeah. 30-12 in favor of the Crusaders. Masterful performance by the Crusaders, and the Crusaders are just defense is what proves what kind of character you are. And I think on the day that's exactly what got them overboard. I think defense is what pushed the Crusaders to the level that they did. And coming up against a very talented Canes team, a Hurricanes team, of course Crusaders had the home ground advantage, but you have to give it to the Crusaders. They have been technical, they've been efficient, and that as a result, that's why they were able to grind this result. The result, of course, Lions are beating the Warriors 44-26, coming from behind, and just showing their dominance in Johannesburg. So sets up a very good final next week for Crusaders versus the Lions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So very quickly before we wrap up,
Yeah.
former Welsh captain Sam Waburton announces his retirement from rugby.
Yes.
So 29.
Yeah.
And he was out for the 2017-2018 season.
Yeah.
And he just said, his body it said no.
Yes.
It said no.
It said no. But Sam Waburton he's been at the top for a very long time. Can you imagine? He's now 29, right? Turning 30. Take away 7 years. 23. At 23 years old, he was captaining Wales at the Rugby World Cup. So he's been a very good talent. He's been good on the open side flank. Of course, the one of the big memories we remember is that when Wales lost to France in that semi-finals in 2011, it was because of Sam Waburton's red card, and their game ended the way it did. But he's been a great servant for Welsh rugby. He's been a great servant for rugby at large, and we can only wish him the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, take note. When it is time, it is time. Don't force it. All right. Follow us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Dimi Madokia.
And I'm Nora Kamuya.
It's a wrap.